how to make roast beef with all the trimmings, just as I do it. So there are different cuts of meat for every family. Depends on your budget what you buy. If you want to buy fillet and what they call rib of beef, then you're looking at quite a substantial amount of money these days. I tend to go for Silverside or Topside. Silverside tends to be better because it's difficult to overcook. Now today I've got a cut from my local butcher. It's about a kilogram in weight, roughly. My family like it cooked, so none of the red stuff in the middle. No, that's not cooked. A rib of beef or a rump of beef, yes, do that with that. But for Silverside, I would be inclined to cook it all the way through and it will be more tender. Put your oven onto gas mark 3. Going to sear our meat, so a bit of oil, neutral if you can, into your pan. And you want it on a high heat, because we want this to get as hot as possible. So dry it off before you do it, and make sure you salt and pepper it. Pop it in and press down. They say that for best results you need to take your meat out of the fridge at least an hour before you do this. Turn it over onto the other side. See, look, we've got a crust. Now the next side. So on until you've got all the sides done. So I'm going to start by prepping the vegetables. We need them in nice big chunks as well. Don't be tempted to not have them in big chunks, because these are going to be cooking for some time. And ideally what you would do is eat them as well. So I've got 2 medium-sized carrots there. Always put your hand on either side of a blade. Don't put your hand anywhere near it. Especially these knives, they are so sharp and it's like cutting through butter. I've got 2 stalks of celery here, largest pieces. Now if you don't like celery, use celery salt and just put a little bit in. Celery and beef just go together, she says. Just, yeah, that is very sharp because it's just caught me. So we're also going to prepare some onions, hopefully without cutting my fingers. Now then, I hear a lot of people have issues with the smell of onions and getting watery eyes. I find personally, if you don't chop the root off, you don't tend to tear up as much. So this is the root end, in case you're wondering. You can chop off the other end, and I just need some bigger pieces as well. So I'm gonna, doesn't matter how you do it, you can do them this way or the other way, but if you take that off, you don't tend to get teary as much. Once you've got all your sides done, turn off your heat. We're going to add to this all our vegetables, so our onions, carrots and celery. I'm going to pop it in, along with about a glass of your favourite red wine. Don't use a horrible one, guys. Don't use cooking wine. Use a wine you like. I'm using this one. About an equal quantity of water. The only other thing I'm going to add to this is a bay leaf. And as they're tiny, it's going to be 2. And we're going to put this in the oven for 2 to 3 hours. So now I'm going to start and prep my potatoes, because I want roast potatoes, and roast potatoes really need to be started a little bit earlier because they take about an hour to cook. Peel my potatoes. These are Maris Piper potatoes. The best ones to use really are Maris Piper or King Edward. sweet potatoes peeled. I'm going to cut these into large pieces because we don't... Gosh, I've got potato peelings everywhere. Oh, what a woman. Now there's no water in my pan and I'll show you why in a minute. This is a big potato, so I'm going to chop it down the middle and chop it in half again. Because I like my roast potatoes large. I'll get that there. Now then, controversially, this is controversial, I've got to say, we're going to pour boiling water over them. So we're going to cover them in boiling water. There you go. And I'm going to put them on the heat with the lid on. I'm not going to salt them yet. And we're going to cook them for 10 minutes or so, just until they're slightly tender. Okay, now I'm going to prep, because my husband wants these, some parsnips. We'll just get rid of all the skin off my vegetable, because it's been sitting around and it's had its days. If they're nice and clean, you don't need to. Chop one end off, chop the other end off. So there's a bit, chop that in half. You know the crack with these guys. For those of you who don't know how to prepare Brussels sprouts, pay attention. You've got your Brussels sprout, right? So take off these outer leaves and any horrible looking ones, like that's not very nice and that's not very good, put that away in the bin, and you'll be left with like a stalky thing. Yeah, so like that. Woo. Chop off that end and that's your sprout prepared. Okay, just pop it on top of your carrots. Halfway through doing my sprouts, my potatoes are partly cooked, so I'm going to drain them. We're going to drain them, leave them in the pan with the lid on so that they dry out a bit. And that's our vegetables done for now. We're going to put these to one side. I'm now going to parboil my parsnips, these things here, yeah? Pop them into a pan. And we're going to do the same again. Boiling water over the top. Then we're going to cook these until they're tender. Next up is our Yorkshire puddings, because you can't have roast beef without Yorkshire puddings. And we all like a Yorkshire pudding, let's be fair, especially when they're done right. My method is pretty straightforward. Get yourself a jug and get yourself a tumbler that's not too big, and get yourself some fresh eggs, some milk, and get yourself some plain flour. So that's the one without any raising agents in it. Fill your glass with your flour until it gets to the top, because we're doing equal quantities of everything. So there's one. However many eggs, oops, nearly went everywhere, it takes. So there's 1, 2, that's another one. There we go. That's 4. 4 eggs, a glass of milk. There we go. In it goes. Get yourself a whisk and you know what's coming. Give it a whisk until you get rid of, until you get rid, I'll just take hold of the handle, of any lumps. We're going to put this in the fridge for however long we have. It'll stay in your fridge for about 3 days with no trouble, if that's what you want to do. I've done it and it works. Thank you to Good Thought for sponsoring this video. I just want to give you a quick review of these knives that I've been using throughout the course of the video. There are 2 knives, the carving knife or chef's knife and the nakiri knife that I've been using. This one here is the chef's knife. As you can see, it's sharp, really sharp. As you know, it's already cut me in this video, so you know how sharp it is. It's extremely well balanced and it's dishwasher safe. This one is the Nakiri knife, which is a vegetable knife. It's sharp, extremely well balanced, and I'm sure, as you can see from here, you will say the same about this knife as you do about the chef's knife. These knives come in 2 oak sheaths with a bolt at each end for you to take the sheath off. It's secure, and it means that it's not A, going to get blunt, and B, hurt anybody when it's in the drawer or sitting around. These knives come with custom handles that you can alter, change, take off, replace by unscrewing the base. I just want to say thank you to Butterfort because I'm finding these absolutely amazing. So without more further ado, let's get back to the video. It's about an hour till tea time, so now I'm going to put in my roast potatoes. So first things first, so I'm going to put a bit of oil in both of these. So one for my parsnips and one for my potatoes. First things first, heat your oil up. It'll take about 5 minutes. You want it so it's smoking. I've taken the lid off the beef and I've put onto it some tin foil to keep it from burning, and I've put it in the bottom of the oven where it's got less heat. And I'm going to turn the heat up to gas mark 7. Now I was going to do mashed potatoes, but I don't have any large potatoes left, so it is baby meat potatoes. So I'm going to pop a load of baby potatoes into here. Pop my veg on top for now because they won't take long. Taking a non-stick tray, we're going to put a little bit of oil, so just on the bottom, just to cover the bottom in each of the holes. This is a muffin tray, and we're going to pop that in the top of the oven to heat up, again 5 minutes. It's time to take your Yorkshire pudding mixture out of the fridge and give it a stir. Once you've done that, pop our Yorkshire pudding mixture into each of these, and you should hear a nice sizzle. Don't worry if you don't. 'Tis not the end of the world. Right, pop that in the oven again, and we're going to cook it for 20 to 25 minutes, depending it goes. And when that goes in, bring out your meat. We want that to rest. There's our meat. We're going to let that rest. Shall we have a look at it? Why not? Look at that. Potatoes and vegetables on the heat to cook. Should take about the same length of time as our Yorkshire puddings. So now I like to make the gravy with what's left over in the pan. So I'm going to add a little bit of wine, because why not? And a beef stock cube. This is when it all starts getting hectic in the kitchen. Now at this point, if you don't want the vegetables, you can drain them out. Nobody likes celery in my house, so out they come. Push your veg to one side because we're going to add a thickening agent. And we're going to add to that gravy granules. Now all this does is add a bit of brownness and thickens it up. Needs a little bit of water in there. You can add the juices off your vegetables to this. Time's gone by, nothing was wasted. And while that's doing its thing, I'm going to cut up the beef. So this is the roast dinner. There you go. In all its glory. Steamy, loveliness. Just look how tender this is.
Okay.
It's just pulling away. Look at that. Lovely. And these potatoes, look at me potatoes. Do the scratch test. Yorkshire puddings, look at that. Amazing. Yum, yum, yum.